Welcome to the Send More Offers Real Estate Show with Brandon Barnes, showing you how to do wholesaling deals consistently without having to go on seller appointments. Learn the key tips and strategies that Brandon's students use to find deeply discounted properties that are pennies on the dollar, all while avoiding wear and tear on their vehicle, body, and freedom. Whether you're looking for your first deal or your next deal, it's time to send more offers with your host, Brandon Barnes.
Hey, RJ, how's it going, man?
What's up, Brandon? Appreciate you having me on.
Super excited to have this conversation, especially with everything that you got going right now. I heard you just crushed the Closer Olympics. Man, how did that go? 2 years running. How were you able to crush the competition? I know there was a bunch of great closers in there. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I first and foremost, I absolutely love the Closers Olympics. I love the competition. And then doing live closing, that's kind of my forte. I love being able to show people how to talk to sellers, how to solve people's problems. And man, it was a great year. I mean, 6 months of tryouts. We had qualifiers all across the country try out. And then there was 15 competitors, 3 days of live acquisitions calls, and then a fourth day, dispo, which was really cool as well. But yeah, man, I got my first round was 30 minutes. I got a signed contract in Lubbock, Texas. And then the final round is the top three. So it was me, Munif Saza, and Naaman Taylor. And we each had an hour. I got another signed contract on an 8-plex in Laredo, Texas. And yeah, man, it's about closing. So I was able to close some deals and go back to back.
Yeah. And cash deals only, or were you making terms offers?
So that's actually, it's funny you bring that up because creative is extra points. So the most you could score, perfect score, is 40 from a judge. 5 points is for creative options. Both of my deals, I did not offer anything creative because they didn't really fit the seller's needs. Both of them, one of them was an inherited property. It's free and clear, but because it's inherited and it's a brother and a sister that are not on good terms, seller finance is not really on the table. So as much as I'm in a competition, you got to take care of the seller. And then the other one, same thing. It was an inherited property and he just wanted to get rid of it. He needed cash, seller finance, free and clear, seller finance not on the table. So I didn't offer it, but creative terms are a big part of what I do on acquisitions, just on those two.
Yeah. Well, look, you have a unique approach to doing business and what you're doing on social and how you're teaching others how to do this business the right way. And I want to get into that. But before we do, just to dig a little deeper into the Closers Olympics. Now, shout out to Elijah Rubin and all those guys that put that together. I think that was born during the pandemic and, we couldn't get together as much. And I remember when those guys first started it. And I'm curious, just for the folks that aren't familiar, how is it set up? What's the time limit? When you're maybe saying the championship round, what do they give you? And then what do you have to do to get this deal signed? How far do you have to take it?
So there's 3 judges. And each one of them has a scorecard. It's 5 points per category. It's based around rapport, identifying pain, motivation, verbal agreement, signed contract, and net ROI, a creative option as well. And during the call, everybody gets a 30-minute round. And you're 5 minutes before you go live, you're sent a spreadsheet of leads. And they were all inbound this year. So they were all from LeadZolo. They were these, YouTube generated inbound leads. And you had some general idea. You have a seller's name, address, their motivation, and the condition. But this is what the seller gave us on the website, right? The clock starts as soon as you get an answer from the first seller. And then that's it. 30 minutes from there, that's all you get. And as soon as the clock expires, they take you off the screen and the judges score you. So a lot of people got verbal agreements. A lot of people got signed contracts, but after the clock expired. So that didn't count as a signed contract because you have to do it inside of the time constraint. So not only are you getting judged, but there's also this shot clock in your face.
Right.
And after the first day, after everybody goes, the top 3 move on to the finals. And then each one of those 3 contestants gets an hour with the same rules. And then whoever has the highest score wins. And I've been lucky enough to win both 2021 and now 2020.
Man, that's amazing. And I want to give you your kudos, bro, because that is like, to do that back to back to back, like that is amazing. I'm curious, what is your approach? Because this is going to help the person that's listening out there that's saying like, hey, look, I'm in this business. I'm trying to do deals on a regular basis. And, I know we're going to get to your 50 and 50 and 50 challenge, and that should really inspire some folks. But what's your approach to some of these calls? Like you get on with somebody, you have a set sales process that you follow. I'm sure the script is ingrained in your mind. Like, how are you getting through to the point where you can literally close someone within 30 minutes in a signed contract?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I'm like the anti-script, anti what everybody else teaches, and I think that really helps me. So we have no scripts. There is a process, but it's all based around your ability to pivot and make adjustments and ask open-ended questions based off of what the seller just told. So there is a certain skill set that you have to develop to be able to work here at Titanium Investments or close like I do. So all these being inbound leads, it makes it really simple. Hey, Brandon, saw you entered your information on my website. You're still looking to sell 123 Main Street. You say, yep. Second question. This is one thing that just right out of the gates differentiates, myself from the majority of closers out there is what's your asking price? So I'm going immediately into price. And because it's so early on in the conversation, almost 95% of the sellers give me a price right then and there. They're like, okay, $120,000. The next question is, tell me a little bit about the property. What you got going on? See how vague that is? How open-ended it is? What this allows us to do is it allows us to find out what is the most important thing to the seller. Because you're asking them, tell me what you got going on. If they talk about condition, if they talk about their tenants, if they talk about financials, they're going to tell you the reason why they want to sell right out of the gates. And what I'm doing at that point in time is I'm comping the property based off of the asking price. Mm-hmm. So I'm pulling up comps. I use Privy, PropStream, Batch. I've got them all pulled up, and I'm going in and I'm figuring out what is my ARV on this property. And if they told me 120, I better be seeing some comps around there and the 250 range, or we probably don't have anything to really talk about. Right? So this also allows me to save my time and my energy because I'm disqualifying them right out the gates. I might ask them, tell me what you got going on. And then they're telling me, we just had a new baby. We're looking to upgrade. The house is in great condition. I see they're asking at full retail. At that point in time, I can make a decision on if I want to offer something creative like a novation or sub 2 or something like that, or just move on and say, hey, you need to list this on the MLS. I'm not a good fit for you, and I move on. If it's a deal, I continue to ask open-ended questions to get them to talk. The goal here is to get the seller to talk like 80, 90% of the time, make them feel very comfortable. People gain confidence when they talk. Yeah. When they're talking, they gain confidence in the conversation. They start to trust you more. It's funny. I call it reverse rapport. I build the rapport at the end of the conversation. And so once I've got all of the information that I need to make my offer from the open-ended questions, that's when I close it off. I love asking the question. If I cover all the closing costs and there's no realtor commissions, what's the best price you can do for me? More often than not, they'll drop the price anywhere from 10 to 20% from the original asking price. Then that's when I send them the contract. The perfect close, I never say a number. They give me one number at the beginning. They drop the price when I ask them another question, and then the contract is in their email. That's the perfect close, right?
Love it. Love it. Give me a few examples of some of those open-ended questions that you like to ask.
So again, it all is based around what they are telling me, right? So this is where it has to be like, you have to have a skill set to be able to have a normal human to human conversation. So if I'm asking someone, tell me what you got going on. And they're telling me, the tenants were there and they tore up the property and it really needs a lot of work. At that point in time, I'm like, tell me about the work. What do I need to do to this property? This is going to get them to talk more, right? And again, what am I doing? I'm confident.
Right.
So as they're telling me this, I'm figuring out what the ARV is and I'm getting an idea of what the rehab is. I'm already pretty much, because I've done this so much, I can pretty much determine what my offer is going to be in a matter of a couple of minutes. I'm sure you're the same way at this point, where it's like, yeah, we pretty much just have an idea of where we need to be, just sometimes based off the ARV. Right. And then you start asking them about, tell me about your timeline. Tell me about what your ideal scenario is. If I could come in and I give you what is the perfect scenario for you right now on this phone call? And sometimes they'll tell you, and then you just give it to them. Those are my favorite reels that I put on TikTok and Instagram, because people are like, RJ, you're nothing but an order taker. Damn straight, baby. That means I'm a damn closer. Who wants to argue on the phone? Don't you want to just tell your seller yes to everything? That means you got really good lead generation. You're asking really good questions in the conversation. So again, it's just about asking those questions that makes them talk.
Love it. And just to get into the pricing your offer, because I think that this is one of any real estate investor's superpower. Should always be being able to underwrite a property, which means being able to come up with your offer price that's going to work out for your deal. And I go after looking for an as-is comp and saying, hey, if I can get this property under contract less than that as-is comp based on what the homeowners told me and what I can see in some of these as-is sales, then I know where I need to be. But you mentioned that you're also kind of thinking about the repair costs. Do you use an average, price per square foot to get the repair costs minus the ARV, minus your margin? Or are you just going after, hey, let me find an as-is comp and say, hey, I can get it under contract for less than that and it's a good deal?
So we have a couple of different things. First and foremost, you're absolutely correct with the as-is comps, specifically in some of the lower income areas, Detroit, St. Louis, Kansas City, Jackson, Birmingham. Like, dude, we got our teeth kicked in when we went into those markets for the first time, because we were doing, hey, there's a $150,000 fully remodeled house. 70% of that minus 40,000 in repairs. We're making our offer. And then every cash buyer's like, dude, do you not see the 5 properties listed on the MLS for $20,000? Like, why would I buy your property for 50 when I can go buy these for 20? So those as-is comps are extremely important, as well as your after repair value comps, right? So I always start with looking at the fully remodeled after repair value comps. As far as repair costs and how I'm coming up with that, that's through a lot of experience. I mean, first and foremost, when me and Cassie got into this, we were contractors. So we have that experience of actually doing contracting ourselves. And then also wholesaling, a couple thousand properties in all 50 states at this point. You find out from your cash buyers, they tell you what the repair costs are going to be. And it's different from Dallas-Fort Worth to Boston, Massachusetts. Like, those are 2 different markets, 2 different repair costs. You do get a general idea of that. If you're somewhere in the range of, 35 to 45% of the after repair value, then you should have enough spread in there for your repair costs and the profit and the holding costs and everything else. One of the tools that we also have is our quick calculator. And this is something that we've developed where you can put in the after repair value. It calculates the closing costs, calculates our holding costs, calculates the repairs, and then it actually shows the percent of profit and the estimated profit that a rehabber would make. And so that helps me as well, where I can kind of punch that in. That's more for like our students and for our acquisitions guys. I have enough experience at this point that very rarely do I use that. But as long as we're coming in somewhere in the range of like 15%, profit for the rehabber after the closing costs and the holding costs and repairs and everything, that's where they normally want to be, just depending on, hey, if they're going out, they're doing 200,000 in repairs, they're not going to be okay with only making 50,000. Right. You need to make sure that there's a level of profit there for the amount of work that they're doing.
Love it. And I'm sure, guys, if you stay till the end, you'll find out exactly where you can go follow RJ and find out more about everything that he has going on, potentially even working with him and getting access to that calculator, if that would be helpful. Let's transition to the 50 deals in 50 states and 50 days, I guess it was. And let's talk about that. And I want to get to the dispo side of things. But first, just give us an overview of what that challenge was, what it looked like, how you came out, and what the goal was with that whole project.
Yeah. So the first time I did it was in 2020. I wasn't happy with where our company was. I read the book Relentless by Tim Grover and found out, hey man, I'm a cleaner. If you don't know what a cleaner is, it's Michael Jordan, it's Kobe Bryant, it's Dwayne Wade. These were Tim Grover's clients. And essentially what a cleaner is when things aren't going well in the fourth quarter, they say, give me the damn ball. I'm going to go win the game. That's what a cleaner is. And that's me. And so I wasn't happy with where we were as a company. So I went to Cassie and I said, hey, I'm going to go do 50 deals in 50 states in 50 days live on YouTube. And she goes, RJ, we haven't done deals in Wyoming, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota. And you're going to do this live on YouTube? Why? And I said, because I'm going to make the world my accountability partner. Because if I'm doing it live, I will figure it out. And this will lay the foundation for what Titanium Investments is moving forward. So in 2020, 86 contracts in 49 states. The only state I didn't get was Utah in 50 days. But that was all done through SMS, through batch leads. Well, as we know, SMS has just slowly dwindled down due to the regulations that have come from the carriers, right? And so I found myself this year, there were some other things. Me and Cassie had the opportunity to be on Zombie House Flipping on A&E. We had one episode air, and I got fired from it because I wore a shirt that had a symbol on it that it was given to me as a gift. I had no idea, and they said it was a racist symbol. Oh my goodness! It's the most bullshit thing ever of all time, bro. It was a Viking hoodie, and A&E is owned by Disney, and so Disney's attorney looked at it and said, "Yeah, man, let's just move on from them." And so they fired us. And this mentally challenged me, bro. I mean, it hurt my heart. I've never been accused of any of these types of things. And my company suffered because of it. I bring the energy, the leadership here. And I essentially would just show up and kind of just be to myself because I was mentally distraught. And we were on that show with Nicole Espinoza, the short sale queen. And she called me one day and she said, RJ, I think you need to do one of your challenges again. You getting on the phone with sellers, that's like your Zen zone. You talked about Jamil earlier. We were talking about Jamil Damji, and he's so Zen. And for me, it's the competitiveness, the challenge, going live, helping people and talking to sellers. And so I said, all right, let's do it again. And this time we did the 50-day challenge. It was all inbound leads. So we had the cold callers cold calling for me. We had Lead Zolo YouTube ads coming in for me, and then cherry picking leads from speed to lead. So PPC leads. as well as I was getting leads from like TikTok and Instagram, people watching me buy other people's houses on my reels and then reaching out and saying, hey, I want to sell you my house as well. So that's where the 50-day challenge came.
Love it. And so just to get into the weeds, I'm assuming that, and then that initial phase before you went to start to purchase inbound leads, and I know you have a few affiliates that you work with that I know you'll share at some point at the end of the episode. Were you going out and, using a batch leads or a service like that and just pulling high equity with interest? Were you going after more of the ones with liens or certain type of attributes that would make them seem motivated? Like, how are you collecting the data to start?
Yeah, so batch leads is where we pull all of our data, and we have one list that we use no matter what markets it's in. And I'll tell it to you real fast, but I will say if the people really want this help, okay, I've got a 45-minute long video on YouTube that you can go watch. So if this goes too fast, go find that video. It's literally called How to Pull a List on Batch Leads. So I go city specific. So let's say Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. I'm going to go single family, residential, individually owned. So essentially none of the companies, no commercial, and I'm just doing single family. I'm getting rid of everything else. Unless it's a market I really know and I really love, then I'll add townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, stuff like that. But if it's just a brand new market to me, just single families. Then I'm going to go to the equity, 45 to 100%. And then the estimated value is wherever you want your ARV to be. So for example, if I'm choosing Atlanta, Georgia, and I want to sell to both landlords and flippers, I might choose an ARV of 150,000 to 200,000. So I'm maximizing my opportunity to be able to dispo to both the landlords and the flippers because of that price. So the estimated value is whatever you want your ARVs to be.
Got it.
All right. Those are all the filters.
Wow.
Then I go down and I'm going to select pre-foreclosures, inherited, vacant, tax defaults, liens, expired listings, and unknown equity. Put all of those in one list, and that's the list that we're skip tracing and calling. If it's too much data, because you want your ideal list size that I've seen is about 2,500 to 3,000 records. If it's too much data, you toggle the estimated value. You close the gap. So if 150 to 200,000 is giving you like 10,000 records, make it 175 to 185. The other thing this helps you with is when you're comping, you should pretty much always know that your ARV should be somewhere between 175 and 185 because that's what you put as your estimated value.
Got it. And then that just makes the offer and the negotiating better because you're kind of consistently talking to the same quality, same price points, and off the bat, if they say that they want 250, it's probably not a good deal. Love it. And it helps you on your dispo because you're talking to the same buyers because the price points are the same and usually the same areas of the city. So it makes dispositions a lot easier. Love it. I was going to ask, so when you add in some of the, inherited and the liens and tax defaults, are you stacking it or are you just saying you're adding those on top of the absentee or the equity homes?
So again, the equity is set in the filter 45 to 100%, right? Everything that we're doing, so vacant gets tagged vacant, tax default gets tagged tax default, and then what we can see when we're calling the seller, hey, it's a lead they want to sell. We can select our tags on batch leads and we can see this is a vacant property, tax default, and a pre-foreclosure. So now we know that that's their motivation, but we're not eliminating any of those leads. If it only has one tag, we're still calling them because there's a lot of unknowns, right? And almost every time with outbound marketing, what you think is the reason why they want to sell is really not the reason why they want to sell. Like, we think because it's tax default, they want to sell. And it's like, nah, dude, it's because I got divorced. and you know, we're going through a messy divorce and we had to pay attorneys, and that's why we didn't pay the property taxes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So that's the reason why you actually
makes sense. Love it. And the last thing I was going to ask in regards to that, are you including owner occupied as well as absentee? Because I know owner occupied sometimes can be a bloodbath when you're trying to talk to folks that are living in those homes.
Yeah, so I'm not adding anything about that. I'm okay with owner occupied as well as the absentee. Because again, I don't want to eliminate the opportunity.
Got it.
So I want to talk to as many people as possible, as long as we're staying within those guidelines of like 3,000 records. You know, I don't want a huge 20,000, you know, people list. I want to keep it smaller. The only way we toggle that though is with the estimated.
Got it. How many times are you tapping that list? Do you go through it once, twice?
Forever.
Okay. Love it. And I'm assuming you're refreshing.
So the way that we toggle our data. Yeah. So we toggle the data by, I pull that list, the cold caller calls it. Then they go to a nationwide list. And nationwide is only on one motivation. So my cold caller will have a nationwide tax default list, nationwide liens, nationwide vacant. Then when they're done with that, I give them another city specific list. So they'll go to another city, Louisville, Kentucky, call the Louisville, Kentucky, then go to nationwide, new motivating factor. And we're constantly rotating our data that way. Here's the thing. We're still calling data from 2019 and 2020. We're just constantly hitting it because we're still getting deals from it. But every time I go into a new city, I'm re-pulling the list. But the beautiful thing about that is batch leads will tell you, you've already skip traced this. Do you want to re-skip trace it or do you not? And the other thing is it allows you to add more tags. So for example, maybe in 2020, that was an expired listing. But now in 2023, when I add it to the list again, I've already skip traced it, but it's telling me now the property is vacant. So now I see there's a story being built. They tried to sell it in 2020. Now in 2023, it's become vacant. Now it's become tax default. See, there's a story being built as to what's happened without the seller even telling me. Again, everything that I want to do makes me more efficient when I'm on the phone where I understand what's going on with the problem.
Good stuff. So look, this has been a masterclass in, you know, everything acquisitions, from, you know, how you're pulling the data, how you're having the conversations, even the challenges. You know, you're showing that you can get closed quickly. The one piece that we haven't touched on is the dispositions. You know, when you're going, you know, 50 states, 50 days, right? That presents its own challenges. You know, do you use boots on the ground? Are you using local agents? Are you innovating and listing everything on the MLS? How are you going about tackling a deal when you get something in Rhode Island and then the next day you got something in Wyoming?
Right. So there are challenges to this. I am not going to downplay that. That is one of the hard aspects of this, is that sometimes you get something like, we have a deal right now but we go New York. Okay. Now I tried to just walk away from the deal during the acquisitions phase, and the seller's like, "Oh, please help me." So I was like, okay, we'll do it. But it took us like 2 weeks to get boots on the ground to go walk the property. Now, more often than not, what we will do is we will call buyers, and we use InvestorLift. So we can go in there and we can see, hey, this is a known, vetted VIP buyer, bought multiple deals in this area, and we'll call them and we'll essentially give them first right of refusal. Hey, here's the address. This is a great deal. Can you go take a look at it? Be our boots on the ground. If you want it, the deal's yours. But if you don't, the only thing we ask is that you take some pictures and videos for us. If we can get that, that's the ideal scenario, because we're immediately getting buyers in.
Love it.
If we can't do that, then we'll have to hire a photographer or a contractor if the seller will not give us videos. A lot of times we'll just ask the seller, hey, here's our checklist, get us pictures and videos so we can save a walkthrough. and they'll do that for us. So those are like the top two things that we do: buyer, seller, not then hire a photographer. Then at that point in time, you create your page on InvestorLift. We're sending that out through email, and then we're utilizing the tools that InvestorLift has. I mean, they have some amazing tools in there, man. They have now Artemis mode, which essentially lets you know what buyers have viewed your property, how many pictures they've looked, how long they've looked at your property, and then you've got their phone number, you've got their email. So you can literally call and be like, "Hey, I see you're looking at my property right there on 123 Main Street. What can I answer for you?"
Right.
And then if that doesn't work, they have God mode, which tells you all of the properties that investors have bought around there, what their phone number is, and what they bought it for, how long they owned it, what they sold it for. So you could call those buyers as well. I will utilize this as well during the acquisition phase, especially in like a market that I don't really know. I could go in there and see how many buyers do I have and what are they buying for in the area. So that also helps me during the acquisitions phase. But that's the number one way that we are dispoing properties right now, is just
Love it, man. Well, this has been great, bro. And I mean, look, you've already kind of walked us through a few examples of some deals. Unless you have something else that you really want to talk about, we can jump right into the lightning round. Is there anything else that jumps out at you as like a deal that you really
Bro, I got a deal.
Okay. All right. Let's break it down. Okay.
So I get on the phone with this seller, inbound lead Zolo, right? And I said, "What's your asking price?" And she says, "Well, Open Door offered me $380." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, that sounds like an amazing offer. I mean, I think you should probably go with Open Door." And she's like, "I've never done a deal with Open Door. What's it like?" And I said, "Oh man, they make you this offer. They're going to come out. They're going to do their inspection. They're going to hit you for some repairs. But I'll tell you, the God's honest truth, I've sold multiple deals to Open Door. They're very fair on their repair prices. In fact, they're so fair, I wish I could get access to their contractors so they can do the work for me." I'm like, they don't really beat you up that bad on pricing. And then, they're going to have their fees, their realtor fees and whatnot. But, I think that's going to be a much higher offer net to you than what I'm willing to offer. And she said, "Well, what's your offer?" So remember, 380 is what Open Door offered her. And I said, I would be at 230. And she said, "Okay. And what fees do you have?" I said, "There are no fees." And she says, "And I'm only going to deal with you?" I said, "Well, you're going to deal with me today, but moving forward, I can make sure you only deal with my partner, Cassie." And she says, "Okay. And you'll close on my timeline?" "What's your timeline?" 30 days. I said, "Yeah, absolutely." She says, I need like a week after we close to move out." I said, "Okay, we can do that. That's called a lease back. We'll hold back a little bit of money in escrow, and then once you moved out, we'll release it to you." She says, "That makes sense." She says, "Okay, let me think about it." So the next day, I call her back. She says, "Yeah, I want to move forward with you at 230. $150,000 less than Open Door. All because of the convenience and the speed and solving her problem." And she essentially said, "Open Door is a massive corporation where I'm not going to know who I'm dealing with. So I would rather know exactly who I'm dealing with and that this deal is going to close because I'm moving out of state and I'm going to have to quit my job to sell this house." So because of that, we got that deal, and we actually made a $70,000 assignment.
Oh my God.
She was one of the happiest sellers of all time.
You've cashed in on an amazing deal and did so by doing business the right way. And look, I always remind anybody that I work with over the years is know your value. Know your value as a wholesaler. If you're wholesaling, know what you offer, and that is speed and convenience. And when you can dictate that, right, then folks will want that as an option, right, versus maybe highest and best and having to deal with a realtor or even Open Door, man. That was pure Gold, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. Good stuff, man. Well, look, this has been great. RJ, I don't want to hold you too much, but I can't let you go without putting you through the lightning round. Are you ready for that? All right. Well, look, so I have a series of rapid fire questions for you. You don't know the question. I don't know your answer. So just say the very first thing that comes to mind. What's one book that's been instrumental to your growth as a real estate investor?
Extreme Ownership.
I like that one. I haven't read it yet. Is that, that's with the Marine?
Yeah, the Navy SEALs, bro. Jocko Willink. It's amazing. Bro, it'll change your life as a business owner.
Love it. Love it. Good stuff. If you could have drinks or coffee with any one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, I mean, first you got to go with Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the obvious answer. Okay, just Jesus. All right. But outside of that obvious answer, I'm going to go with Tom Brady.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Were you a Patriots fan?
I am.
Love it. He's the man. He's the GOAT. Undisputed GOAT. Best advice for someone looking to do their very first deal?
Talk to more sellers, make more offers. That's the problem. They want to make a logo and a website and set up their LLC. But the one thing you don't want to do is talk to sellers and make offers.
Do TTP.
Worry about the rest of it.
TTP and SMO. Look, shout out to Brent Daniels. He was one of my original mentors, and I learned a lot from him, and he's just a great guy. Shout out to Brent out there. What is one mistake on a specific deal or a business in general that if you had a do-over, you would take that do-over?
On one specific deal, there was a deal that we had here in Fort Worth, Texas, that was on a golf course. And we put down 5,000 EMD and we wholesaled it. And the buyer found out that the golf course had been shut down. And so we released them from their contract. And the real estate agent then got mad at us because we asked for an extension. And they said, you have to now put down $20,000 EMD. And I was so confident that I could dispo that deal. And I didn't sell it. And I lost $20,000 EMD on that deal. Don't chase dead deals. Sometimes bad deals just need to go away. And I chased that deal. So I lost $20,000 EMD.
That is rough, bro. Jesus. That is one, make sure guys that you know that you have confidence, right? Look, and I'm sure you have your own way about doing this, but the only way I even go into a situation where someone wants an additional or a high amount of earnest money is if my buyers are there first and they say that they're ready to do the deal and they're basically putting up the earnest money up front. Yes, guys, make sure that you're protected out here. What's the financial goal that you guys have set for your team, Titanium Investments, for this calendar year?
For this calendar year, I would have loved to have been able to do $5 million in wholesale only transactions. We had a couple of bad months early on. I think everybody did. I think the whole real estate world struggled in November and December, and then that transition in January and February.
Yeah,
but I think we've gotten back on track, and I think with a rolling 12 months, I think we can get back.
Love it. If you woke up tomorrow and had $500 million deposited into your account overnight, what's the first thing you would go out and purchase with that newfound money?
Raw land.
Yes. Or real estate.
And baby, because once I own it, nobody can take it from me except for the government. As long as I pay those property taxes, baby, it's mine.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. And final piece of advice. What would you tell the person that's listening right now that's wanting to scale and grow their business? Maybe they're struggling. They can't put two deals back to back together. What would you tell that person that's looking to grow and scale?
I would say stop worrying about the words grow and scale and start worrying more about the words marketing, offers, contracts, solving sellers' problems, assignments. Like, this is what you need to be talking about. You need to be talking about the offers that you're making. You need to know that the seller's names that you're talking to, the streets of the houses that you're buying and that you're selling, and stop worrying about these 1,000-foot issues and worry about the 1-foot issues right now. Be obsessed on that. When you watch me go live, it is all about the next lead, the next seller. And I am obsessed with what's going on in each one of those sellers' lives, each one of those deals. I don't even need to look at my notes. I leave the notes in the CRM for my team, not for me, because that's how obsessed I am with the deals. You need to be obsessed over that and stop worrying about where you're going to be in the future.
That is amazing advice, guys. Worry about the problem that's 1 foot in front of you, and that's the next lead, next deal, next seller, next offer, and make more offers, send more offers, baby. Man, I appreciate it. This has been great, RJ. We've learned a lot. You have an amazing story. Congrats again to the 2-time Closer Olympics, best closer in the nation. And I know you're going to keep crushing it. Bro, I can't wait to watch and get into some of these videos. I'm super excited to share that with my network so folks can see you out there doing it on a daily basis. What's a good place that people can go to learn more about everything you have going on in your world, everything that you have to offer, as well as your social media pages?
Yeah, man. YouTube, RJ Bates III. It's just my name. I mean, I probably put out more videos, more content than anyone out there. I mean, majority of the days, it's 8 hours of me talking to sellers. So, I mean, there's only so many hours in a day. And then, if you don't have that attention span, they get chopped up into smaller segments. If you really don't have the attention span to watch the 15, 20-minute long conversations, they get chopped up into the shorts and the reels of 60 seconds, but you're really missing the meat and potatoes there. And then, of course, Instagram, a lot of, just reels, they go out there and content. But yeah, man, YouTube is the number one place for people to consume.
Awesome. And it's YouTube at RJ Bates III, as well as on Instagram. Good stuff. And then TikTok, same thing.
Same thing. Yeah, across all platforms, just RJ Bates.
Awesome. Great name, great guy, and a better closer, man. I really appreciate you, bro. I love having you here. Everything that you talked about, from how you're actually closing, how you really flip the script. You're the anti-script guy. You go straight in with an offer price and then build your rapport through open-ended questions and get down to the end, and you can close very quickly. And then how you're doing things, leveraging these different systems and softwares to find the best leads, to find the best buyers and get closed. This has been an amazing episode. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to check in on you and have you back in the future, man. You want to leave us with any last parting words?
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is everything starts with acquisitions. And it starts with solving people's problems. So if you can do that, okay, the backside of it, the disposition side, there's so many solutions out there. There's so many other people that you can JV with. You get connected with the right buyers, but you have to start with just talking to sellers. And like you said, man, Brent Daniels is a good friend of mine and a mentor as well. Talk to more people, man. Send more offers.
Good stuff, guys. And while you're at it, head over to sendmoreoffers.com. There's nothing for sale there, just a bunch of great episodes here, show notes, all the resources available to you. And if you have anything here in Atlanta that you want help with, you can even book a call with me at sendmoreoffers.com. Guys, this has been great. RJ, thanks again, man. And as always, send more offers, do more deals. Until next time, peace. Thanks, RJ.
That's all for this episode of the Send More Offers Real Estate Show with Brandon Barnes. But we know you're craving more knowledge to get yourself ready for that next deal. To schedule a call with Brandon to learn more about how to do deals consistently without seller appointments in a repeatable way, be sure to visit us at sendmoreoffers.com. And be sure to tune in for the next episode of the Send More Offers Real Estate Show.